Welcome San Diego Rotary Club 33 members, our honored guests, and those watching on Zoom to the 33rd oldest, the 10th largest, and the first best Rotary Club in the world. Our chair of the day is my good friend Ray McKewon. Ray is both a member of the class of 1981 and the class of 2001. In 1998, as the Commodore of Naval Coastal Warfare, an active command that he led as a reservist, he had to take a 2-year hiatus from Rotary membership. Ray served Camp Enterprise from 81 until 2018. Even during his 2-year break, he served as the chief judge in his final 20 years. Ray launched many local companies, including one that became the best performing IPO of 2003 on Wall Street. When Ray retired in 2005, his company had over 2,500 employees and $1 billion in sales. Ray and Kim started the Exceptional Music Company in 2000, and they have staged many artists, including Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Davy Jones of the Monkees, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and many others, including their own exceptional tribute to ABBA, which soon will also feature our own Brian Verhooy as their piano player. Ray serves on 5 nonprofit boards, including past tours of duty as the chair of the San Diego Fire Rescue Foundation and the Kyoto Prize Organization. Kim McKewon has served on the chapter board of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, where she has led education and outreach efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, put your seatbelts on for a program you will never forget. Please welcome Ray McKewon.
Thank you, Michael. We'll begin our program today with a short documentary, Climbing My Everest, a story about my amazing wife and life partner, Kim McKewon. I watched this documentary over 100 times. I helped make it. I've not made it through without crying. We'll see how I do today. Roll the video, please.
I gave up on myself once. The Everest Challenge, well, I smile when I talk about it. I am going to ride my bike one hill repeatedly until I achieve the elevation of Mount Everest. So 29,029 feet. And I'm doing it to benefit the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
I don't think people understand how difficult this challenge is. It's not easy.
I took her on her first ride, but I never would have expected her to jump in with both feet. I don't have the ability to do what she's doing today.
It's hard. It's either amazing or it's scary. It's really scary because I don't want her to get hurt. I want her to get through it.
I'm glad she took on this challenge. You know, she is a bike rider. She doesn't have to finish the challenge. In my mind, she's still a hero.
I had never heard of the Everest Challenge until Kim told me about it. And my first reaction is, what and why? This is insane. I mean, the world's most professional athletes sometimes can't do this.
I do think Kim will accomplish the Everest. She's ready. You know, she seems to be in a great spot, and she's picked the right people to work with her to make sure that she stays there.
It's an epic cycling challenge, and it's something that I never thought that I would try to accomplish. I want so much to be able to tell myself, Kim, you Everested, you did it, girl, and to pat myself on the back. I literally pat myself on the back when I achieve things that are hard for me now. And I gave up on myself once when I attempted suicide. And I'm not willing to do that again.
I became aware of her depression when she was Out of college, 1999, it got a lot worse. And that's when we really saw depression.
It was very difficult for me to see a beautiful girl who had the world in her hand and being miserable.
I think I was around 6 years old when I noticed that something just wasn't right. I didn't know exactly what to call it, but I could be in a room full of people and I would feel uncomfortable, I would feel isolated, I would feel a physical sensation that just, I didn't want to be there.
Mental illness is very, very real. It's devastating.
Mental health conditions are an extremely common part of the human health experience. In the United States, 1 in 4 Americans will have a diagnosable mental health condition in their lifetime. And in any slice in time, it's about 1 in 5 individuals who are experiencing the symptoms of a mental health condition.
Mental health can affect everybody. There's not a certain stereotypical person that just is impacted by mental health. Anyone at any point can have an experience with a struggle, and it can also have thoughts of suicide, and it's a very real and human experience.
It got so bad that I found myself having significant suicidal thoughts. I didn't want to get out of bed. At the darkest times, I remember waking up in the morning very disappointed that I had to open my eyes another day to face my life.
Laying in bed, she would say things like, I just don't belong in this world. The world would be better off if I were not here. You would be better off if I was not here. My family would be better off if I was not here. And there being nothing I could say or do that would seem to change her view about that.
Unfortunately, knowing that you've done everything you can to support, all you can do is wait. And there were nights, weeks, months that I would wait for the phone to ring just to hear Ray say,
I woke up and I had made a decision that I couldn't do this anymore. I was tired of being in pain. I was tired of the fight, tired of hating myself, tired of the agony I thought I was putting my family and friends through, completely convinced that I was a burden to others, that they would definitely be better off without me.
I came home, she was comatose, and I found a note. I was in shock. I wasn't sure how much she had taken. I wasn't sure if I was going to lose her or not. Rather than wait for an ambulance, just drove her right to the emergency room.
Stunned, numb, helpless, guilty. That's how I felt. But then it's the long period thereafter, waiting for that phone call. And I just was afraid that if the phone rang, that she would have taken her life. But thank God she didn't.
it's a hard way to go. You know, it's hard for survivors.
I think anybody who gets to that point, who is willing to share, it needs your ear.
I'd gotten a call from her psychologist saying that she was reasonably convinced that Kim was going to make another suicide attempt. I called her psychiatrist, who was administering ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, and we conspired. And I said, when she wakes up, she has to be in a locked psych ward. It's the only way I know how to protect her. Well, it protected her, but I locked my wife up. So, kind of sucked.
She went through shock therapy. She tried all kinds of traditional things to cure herself of this, or at least get it to a point to where she could deal with it.
It was not clear who the victor would be. What eventually developed is she looked in the mirror and she said, "Why am I waiting for other people to fix me?"
Around April of 2011, a small shift happened inside of me where I decided that it was either time for me to show up for myself or the writing was on the wall.
Happily, Kim, not me, and not her physicians, all of us trying, Kim is the one who found the path that would work for her.
This all started about 8 years ago when she was strong enough one day. She came over to my house and she got on my wife's bicycle and I took her out for a ride and we went about 4 miles and we got to a point where I said, okay, let's turn around, because if we don't turn around, we're gonna have to go back and over this huge hill. And she looked at me, looked at the hill. She goes, I want to go up it.
I learned to first manage my mental illness by accepting my depression as my partner in life. I used to try to run away from it, try to find a cure from it. And when I decided to accept it as part of who I was, that was this moment of where I felt like a huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders. And I also look at my mental illness as the passenger in my car, like this car that I'm driving, and my mental illness is always in the back seat with me. And sometimes it's gonna try to climb into the front seat, but I'm going to be driving that car the majority of the time. And when my mental illness will grab that wheel, I know it's not always going to be that way.
The recent years of Kim's journey has been miraculous.
This is more than just riding up and down a hill. This is a metaphor for Kim's journey. Her journey with mental illness is in many ways represented in this ride. Hard, requiring endurance, involving suffering.
She's come out of hell, and hopefully she can help other people.
Kim's a grown-up now. Aren't we all glad that we waited for her?
She's able to help others through this challenge. I just, the only thing I could say is I'm proud of her.
I'm beyond proud of her.
It's the great hope that the story that this has been will be told again and again and again and inspire others.
There was no doubt about it. Kim's positive mindset just never quit.
Oh my God. So cold.
Kim just completed the Everest challenge. It was something I don't think many people can do. She's an amazing, amazing girl.
Unbelievable. And she did this for herself as well as the people who are suffering with depression and suicide.
One determined woman. She in fact did it.
I feel in awe, I feel amazing, I hurt everywhere. I'm kind of in a wow. I don't know what to say. I'm so grateful to everyone here. Thank you so much. It's a continuous journey, and though my darkest depression and suicidal thoughts are not there right now. I remain each day taking my mental temperature because I think it's important. Thank you, everyone who's here. I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so... You did it. Don't give up on yourself. This is for all those people out there who are struggling, who don't believe it can get better. It can. Trust me, it can.
I've learned from Kim that there's no journey that's too difficult. There's no problem that you can't overcome. Be aware that there's other people out there who understand.
It gets better. Even when people don't believe it, it can get better.
Well, I didn't make it through this time either. You may remember that Dr. Moutier said in the documentary that in our lifetime, 1 in 4 of us will be dealing with a diagnosable condition of mental health. And at any slice in time, 1 in 5 of us will be experiencing the symptoms of a mental health condition. So what the odds are, that means in this room, 1 or 2 of you at each table are dealing with it right now. Maybe not every table, but in the room as a whole, statistics probably cannot be denied. Until recently, the stigma, however, was so undesirable and so unbearable and so embarrassing, we would not admit it. We would not speak of it. We just didn't ask for help. We would take it to the grave, or in some of our cases, it took us to the grave. But it's sad because we're not doing anything wrong. We didn't choose it any more than we'd choose cancer or diabetes. We just got delivered on the planet with that biochemistry and that wiring. And if you have it, you just have it. I had a family of 6, a mom and a dad, 4 kids. I got skipped. I don't have it. 2 of my family were not skipped. And I didn't know until years later when they told me, crying, that they were too ashamed to tell me. I wish I'd known. Wish I was perceptive enough to know, but I was not. Well, Kim didn't get skipped, but hers is a story of hope. Kim.
Thank you, Ray. Good afternoon. I'm so honored to be here with you today. While it's not easy for me to share my story, I feel like it's important to do so. My Everest challenge was difficult. I trained for months. It hurt and it was hard. But mental illness hurts and it's harder. A person can't just walk it off or sweat it off in the gym. They can't just snap out of it or just get over it. It was after we made the documentary that, upon reflection, we realized we'd come upon 4 principles that helped me and that might help others. We call them our 4 Ps. In the film, you heard me say that I finally figured out that no one was going to come and fix me. And that's the day I decided to accept my mental illness as my partner or part of who I am, rather than trying to run from it. In the words of some, I decided to lean into my shadow rather than run away from it. And after all, my shadow is intrinsically me. That partner or part of me, discovery, is the first P. The second P is a metaphor you saw in the film of treating my unwanted partner as my passenger in my life car. It will always be in my car no matter how much I want to drop it off at the next exit. But it also means that I am the driver of this car. Yes, the passenger will sometimes try to climb out of the back seat and grab that wheel, and sometimes it will succeed. But I will be driving that car the majority of the time. And as you know now, I also found cycling. And in doing so, I found a passion. That's the third P. A passion fills you, absorbs you, challenges you, energizes you, motivates you, and you get up again and again and again because you're devoted to whatever that is. A passion is also a practice of self-care. This in turn also allows us to rest and recover better. It doesn't have to be cycling or painting or Navajo weaving or skydiving or one particular thing, but I tried all of those. But there is something that arouses passion inside of us. Some of you may already know what that is, and if you do, I encourage you to acknowledge and to embrace it. And when you have a passion, it's a lot easier to drive around in that metaphysical car with that particular passenger. The fourth P is purpose. If you can connect your passion to a purpose, your world becomes fuller and you feel more empowered, something that many people living with a mental health condition really struggle to feel. And your car starts to move fluidly down the highway because you know where you're going, albeit with some speed bumps and maybe an occasional accident. But you know where you're headed and you keep driving with passion and purpose. If you can accept it as part of who you are, make it a passenger in your car, and find a passion and purpose, some light and joy may return. Many of us still have it, live with it, and learn to manage it. I live with it every day. I still have it, and you can live and thrive, not just survive, but you can find light and hope. Just know, just believe, it can get better.
I speak now to the 4 of us out of every 5 that don't have it. But the near certainty is that you are friends with, work with, related to, gave birth to, were descended from, or married to someone who does. Therefore, you're not likely to escape it. There are a couple things I learned not to do as one who does not have it with a partner who does. The first thing I will demonstrate with these 2 lessons. I would sit at the bedside and say, Kim, our house is beautiful. The sun is out. We have money in the bank. Everything's wonderful. And what I was doing was making somebody who already felt terrible from depression feel guilty about having depression. The second thing I would do, since I'm an extrovert, I like to go out and fill my tank by being around others. Kim is not as much of one, and it drains her tank. So what did I do? I took Kim out into large groups and was draining her tank until I finally realized that's what we're doing. So we're still social, we're here, but we keep our eyes on the gas gauge.
We have a full-length feature film in the making. And with that and the short documentary, we have 3 aims, or what we can call our purpose. Educate to eradicate stigma, shame, and guilt. Research. This is in the future, but we hope to help evaluate in studies how often, when, whether our 4 Ps might be able to help others, potentially alongside traditional therapies. And help. We've aligned with our colleagues at a foundation called Fundamental, who have created in turn and created a cadre of practitioners who believe in what we believe and who can help. We've learned that when we speak, sometimes it activates something in someone or they notice something in themselves and that they need some support. Maybe it's for themselves or for a loved one. Well, Ray and I have life experience and we certainly have empathy. We're not professionally trained and we're not licensed to provide deep support like that. But Fundamental is. With that, we would be very happy to take any questions.
Thank you for a great presentation. not easy, I'm sure. So we were up on Camp Enterprise up on the mountain with 71 teenagers, and President Mike Brunker gave a great inspiring speech, and he asked the kids a series of questions. And one of the questions was, how many of you have been approached by somebody who wanted to end it all? And 80% of the kids raised their hands. How do we reach the teenagers in an environment where our San Diego City school budget is going to be cut by $100 million? And I'm sure some of the counselors and other professionals in the schools are going to be eliminated. How do we help those kids? Because you mentioned you started going through this at a young age, didn't put a label on it, and probably nobody knew you were going through it. How do we help these kids get through it and come to a place where you are now?
That's a great question. I mean, like I said, I still live with it and I still have it. So I think the main thing to also know that there are a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that provides free programs into schools. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is one of them. And these are research-based programs and I present in schools to elementary, middle school, and high school students, and so they don't charge the schools any money. They come in free of charge to educate them on having open conversations about mental health, how to see the signs in yourself and your friends and your family, and then how to reach out for support. I think it also needs to start at home. I think we need to become more open ourselves and be able to talk about this conversation very, very openly. A long time ago, I wasn't comfortable using the word suicide in a conversation. To me, it's an everyday conversation now. We have to become more comfortable in having these conversations about, are you thinking of suicide? Are you hurting? And checking in with people and checking in with the children. Also being able to connect their emotions to what they're feeling inside. And there are a lot of programs out there that allow that to happen, and there's more research being done on it. But I think it starts at home. I think it also happens in the schools and making people become more comfortable with these conversations. And I'll be the first one to have a conversation with someone. How do you do it? Well, you talk to them in private. You offer support saying, I'm here to support you, but you don't have to fix the problem. We have to be more comfortable talking about this conversation.
Thank you, Kim. We have time for one more question.
Thank you, Kim, Ray. Chris Sitchell. Looking back, what might have been some of those signs that family members could and should be looking for? Maybe some of those little red flags that any of us might be able to spot in a young person, or maybe not such a young person, as they're doing life together.
Well, I think that's a great question. Thank you for offering that. I mean, we all have blue days, right? We all struggle at times. But it's when someone is struggling for more than 2 weeks, or you're noticing that behavioral changes in something that they normally enjoy, they're not enjoying as much. They begin to isolate more. They're not connecting in conversation more. Perhaps they're just despondent, but it also can look like anything like this, right? I'm up here talking to you guys. I sing and perform, but I could be struggling. So it's being willing to open that conversation again. But there are also a lot of things, a lot of resources online that you can find on how to have that conversation, or red flags, or signs. You can go to afsp.com or afsp.org or NAMI.org, and there are signs of how to notice things in yourself or others. Now, I know we don't have time for more questions, and I would be happy to, Ray and I will stay back if anybody wants to ask us more questions too. Thank you.
Cheryl, I appreciate you sharing what you saw on Friday. And when I asked the question to the 71 students, it wasn't so much for the students to, I always said, nobody in the room is feeling like this, but do you know somebody that didn't? All the hands shot up. But it was for the adults in the room. Because the message was, these students are going to Camp Enterprise oftentimes with a gorilla on their back. because they don't have adults that they can talk to about this stuff. So, you know what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to ask all of you by a show of hands. Certainly nobody in this room. But do you know anybody that has gone through or what you just witnessed right here or has talked to you about ending it all? Put your hands up if you have. That's for you, okay? And that's why this message today was so important. Let's give them a real big hand right now. So Kim and Ray, and I've let both of them know that our Rotary International President Gordon McAnally's theme is create hope in the world, and that one of his big emphasis this year is mental health because he lost a brother to suicide. He tells that story everywhere he goes. And so I want to give you this coin that says create hope in the world because what you've done today is certainly create hope for all of us to know that you can get through this, get past it, and we want to be here for you. So this is for both of you. All right. And in addition, my hope is that we can reimagine how Rotary can develop leaders throughout the world, especially young leaders, high school students, like Camp Enterprise students who really took it to another level. And I think they're going to come back from that camp a different person because of what Rotary did for them. And in your name, we're going to instill in the school or schools of your choice, any high schools you go to, we'd like to present to them the Blanchard Student Self-Leadership Program at no charge. And so that QR code that you all see, you can also do the same. But we want to thank you for what you've done. This message is so profound, and I know the video is going to be shared widely by everybody in this room. So let's give them one more big hand if we can. Thank you.